We live.
What's good, Facebook? You know what I mean? WHGE 95.3 F building. The Open Eye Radio Show has now begun. Will you be? It's just a little bit more than radio. You dig me?
Yes, sir.
So come on and log in. We give you your time to log in, view live, call in, type in, ask us questions, communicate with us, network. You got businesses, you know what I'm saying? Send them in. Let us know what's going on with what you doing. Dig? Oh yeah, and y'all can come celebrate with us at Howard High School Alumni Association Wall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Introduction ceremony honoring Howard legends. You know what I'm saying?
Nsoromma on the case.
Reverend Canon Lloyd S. Casson, Major Hairston Jr., Arthur Hope Artie, Bernard K. Jenkins, Reverend Provery Paul Jr., Howard High School, 401 East 12th Street, Wilmington, Delaware, 19802, Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. Snow date, Wednesday, April 2020, 6 to 9 p.m. George A. Johnson Auditorium. Free admission and finger food served. For more information, contact Sandra Wright at 302-521-7469. Bev Evans at 302-651-9499. Patrice Patton Dixon at 302-655-5306. Sponsored by Howard High School Alumni Association Incorporated, Wilmington City Council. Yaga.
Nobody. Those of us that ignore or commit intellectual violence or piece of pleasure of mental masturbation, we do so because the change from depression is mind to deep difficulty. I am a black man. The blood of the Nile flows through my veins. The pounding of the drum is the rhythm of my heart. The wisdom of the ages dwells in the recesses of my soul. Oneness with the Creator sustains my spirit. Mother Africa cries for me in anguish, for I was ripped from her womb in my infancy. Neither capture, slavery, oppression, segregation, miseducation, integration, assimilation, immorality, nor manipulation could deafen my ears to Mother Africa. Seek your brother and sister, she cries. Nothing could stop me when I stand with my brother and sister. Take heart, my brother and sister. Tomorrow could be ours, if we would but seize the day. We have always owned the night. We are black people. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye. Yeah, we opened a little differently today. This is the first day of Black History Month. That's why I did that.
True, true.
Yes, indeed. Nsoromma,
Yeah,
by my side as always, my partner in consciousness. As we get started here on WHGE 95.3 FM, the education station. We got, as I always tell you, we got plenty for you today. It's going to be a very interesting program today, as well, it always is, isn't it, Nsoromma?
yeah. We usually don't hold back. We usually give them juicy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You know? And let me say something about Black History Month. You know, often you hear the complaint that, oh, they gave us the shortest month. They gave us the shortest month for Black history. Well, actually, they didn't give us nothing. We took it. Carter G. Woodson declared February because of Frederick Douglass' birthday. So that, and I think it was also Lincoln's birthday is in February. We didn't care about that. But anyway, because it was Frederick Douglass' birthday in the month of February, and it started out as Negro History Week. And as you know, it expanded and the times moved on, it became Black History Month.
Right.
Okay. The thing about us in Black history is we don't wait until February to celebrate or talk about our history. And we don't limit ourselves to 4 or 5 people that, you know, did things in Black history.
That they represent Black history for right now. You know what I'm saying? When they say Black History Month. Yeah. And they only say 5 people.
Right. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
The same
Rosa
old,
Parks,
the same old monotonous system that they put in is the structure.
Right. You know, like I said, you know, celebrate those few people, what have you, you know. And what we understand about our history is that our history didn't start with slavery. Slavery interrupted our history. And I hate to call...
Right. We wasn't always slaves.
Right.
I mean, don't think that don't ever think that. You know what I'm saying?
No. You know, they did not kidnap slaves from Africa. They kidnapped doctors, kings, scholars, you know, craftsmen. The list just goes on and on. Philosophers, teachers.
Right.
I think I might have said that when I said scholars.
No, but I mean, it was all sorts of individuals. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That make up a society.
Right.
That, you know, they kidnapped from Africa. So, you know, what we actually are, what a lot of us don't realize is we're prisoners of war.
Right.
Because white supremacy declared war on our people when they kidnapped them and enslaved them. You know, we are actually prisoners of war. So when you celebrate our history, celebrate all aspects of our history, you know, and teach your children about, and like I said, sure as hell, don't wait until February to celebrate our history.
I mean, that's one thing about our people that, you know, we don't really take pride in.
Right.
And understanding and finding out ourselves about our own history. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows, like, their history. You know, the white people white, Chinese, and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? They know about their history, and they adamant about telling their kids and their grandkids to make it go down throughout the tradition of their existence of knowing who they are. Right. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We don't even read to go back to find out our history. No. To really know where it all began. You know, that's kind of sad to me. That's kind of sad.
It is, because there's no excuse now, because you're walking around with a handheld computer, your cell phone. You know, you can Google up anything.
It's called a smartphone.
A smartphone, yeah.
So that makes you smart.
Exactly.
But then on the other hand, you can give a smartphone to a dumb person and it'll be a dumb phone.
How about that? Because he won't learn the damn thing from it.
Right. He wouldn't know what to ask the phone, how to work the phone. I mean, so when you're dealing with people that don't want to change and just want to stay where they are and they're comfortable with the systematic position they're in, I mean,
you know, and it's something because, you know, a lot of people think it has to do with your age. This is a newfangled thing and this, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. I got one of my old heads that's on his smartphone getting smarter. You know, as long as he's been around, he takes his smartphone and he looks up everything he wants to learn about, everything he wants to know about.
Because you don't have to question yourself now. You can go ask Siri, how big is the earth? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And it'll come and it'll tell you. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be more educated about ourselves and what's going on in the world.
Exactly.
This technology.
That's what, you know, and like I said, age has nothing to do with it. Now, I heard the old saying that, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's not actually so. The thing is, you can't teach a dumb dog nothing.
Yo, you broke me on that. You broke me on that one. WHGE 95.3 FM. Open Eye Radio. Yo, you broke me on that one. Oh,
she losing? I love it. Nsoromma, Martinez Perez, you know.
Hola, what's good? Oh my God.
Yeah, buddy.
Open Eye Radio. You tuned into the Open Eye Radio live right now. We just get popping, so we can ready to drop some science and knowledge on y'all. So yo. Keep it coming. Bless it, bless it.
And as I always tell you, I know you can't wait until Saturday to turn on WHGE 95.3 FM at 11 a.m. and catch Patrice, Gibbs, and Nsoromma on the Open Eye. But you don't have to wait until Saturday because we got programming all week long. All week long. We got, of course, every day, especially this month, you want to be on the case because you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something.
You're going to learn today.
At 6 o'clock daily, our illustrious leader, Harmon Carey, with Black History Facts and Reflections. Okay, that's daily. On Tuesdays, one of our new shows, Health News and Views You Can Use, with host Susan Renee. That's Tuesdays at 5 p.m. And of course, that will be followed by Black History Facts and Reflections, our daily program. On Fridays, the Linwood Jackson Radio Show. You don't want to miss Mr. Jackson. Okay, that's Fridays at 5 p.m. At 7 p.m., no joking, stop smoking. If you are one of those people like myself, who has fallen to the evils of the addiction of smoking, you want to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. with award-winning host Raheem Darden. No joking, stop smoking.
Right.
He will show you how. He will show you how. On the second and fourth Saturday at 1, Voices of Delaware Africa Coalition with host Dr. Kalichi Lawrence. highly intelligent man. That will be followed by, well, at 4 later in the day, Ed J Sports Zone. Super Bowl coming up. You know, you want to tune in and get Ed's predictions on who's going to come away with the, what is that called? What's this trophy called?
Which one, Heisman?
No, for the Super Bowl.
Oh, I can't even think of that.
Don't worry about
the Super Bowl trophy.
The
championship, Super Bowl championship. I mean, that's what it is. San Fran gonna pull it off too. You know what I mean? That's what's bang, bang.
Big time.
Yo, what up, Edie? What up, Joe Spady? Yo, I see you too. Yo, check it out. You know, 95.3 FM. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Live.
And of course, as always, we are proud to let you know that the Open Eye is brought to you by the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets, the founders and builders of Pearl Center, the veteran-specific apartment building.
Hey, it's good. Yo, we do this every Saturday.
Every Saturday. Okay, got a little message coming up here for you. Yeah.
The views and opinions expressed on Open Eye are those of the host, guests, and
That's right. Ask some questions too, you know what I'm saying? Don't be playing, talk to us. Don't just be watching. Wasn't it terrible what happened to Kobe, man?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to talk about.
WHGE 95.3 FM were our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless.
Yo, Tanya. What's good? Yeah, I'm on live. All the joy. Yo, we do this every Saturday.
WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yeah.
Well, it was a sad event.
I know.
World,
yeah, Kobe,
legend.
Man. But not only he died, other people died too. So you know, I mean, Kobe is blown up, and you're not really hearing and seeing about the other people. But you know, death is death, man. It hurts.
Of course,
it hurt.
I think it was his middle daughter that was also lost.
Yeah, there's no cure to this. There is no cure to that. It's not a disease. It's nothing that you can look for a cure for. You know what I'm saying? Only time to heal. You know, that's crazy.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the things that we got to look at are the reactions to Kobe's death, and of course, throughout the sports world, you know, they are mourning this tragedy and what happened. But you have some people that are not mourning this tragedy.
I can't see who would not be mourning the tragedy.
Yeah,
you know,
you have some liberal white women, that are not mourning this tragedy. As a band had a comedian, Arab dude, who actually came out and said, well, you know, hey, he's gone, he was a rapist. Okay, now this is what, of course, the liberal white women are, you know, bringing up with this tragedy, with this man's demise, is that, well, it's a you know, shame he's gone, but let us not forget that he was a rapist. Okay.
I mean, they always somehow find a way to try to tarnish your name. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how good of a person, I mean, there's no good people in the world really anyway. I mean, everybody got their own devil inside of them or whatever. But I mean, sometimes you gotta be able to tame that and know what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? To really stop this, just like anything that you want to stop. You know, cigarettes. You want to stop smoking cigarettes? You just say no, like they said back in the day. Remember that?
Yeah.
Then when they got all turned out on these pills and stuff, and they couldn't just say no, like we couldn't just say no back in the day.
Right.
Now they getting hospital banks to help them and all kind of. It's just it's messy out here, man. Like,
well, you know, the thing about this rapist charge now. Here's another aspect to that, is that you have,
yo, Maya, I hear you.
That you had quite a few sisters come out and say, well, you know, we can't really mourn him too tough because after all, he was a rapist. And quite a few sisters, you know, shame on you.
Right.
Shame on you. And here's the main reason that I have to say shame on both these sisters and these liberal feminista white women,
right?
you know, who claim that Kobe was a rapist. That he was never charged with rape.
And that's my thing.
Yeah. And
you got the president that's rape. That come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was never charged with rape. And the reason he was never charged, even though the white girl that said Kobe raped her, was that after the incident, first of all,
right,
after she was supposed to be raped by Kobe,
right,
okay, she went to a party. Okay, now what happened was she went to this party and bragged about the fact that
she just got down with Kobe.
That she just got down with Kobe.
Yeah,
talked about the size of his manhood and
all
this, that, and the other thing.
And her girl probably said, "Girl, you better go get some money." Is you crazy?
Yeah. Not only that, but
no, I
white boys.
Story. Yeah. I remember that story.
The white boys was like, "Oh, you's an N-word lover. You
made her feel all teeny and made her feel disgusted by sleeping and talking to him. Yeah, I remember that.
So then she went and said, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? I gotta turn this thing around.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to the cops and say he raped me." So when a lady, a woman goes and accuses someone of rape,
on.
Course, yeah,
I mean, you ain't even got know. A lady dreamed a black guy got her in her sleep.
Yeah.
And she went and found out a report.
Yep.
And gave him a description of the guy in her dream.
They picked somebody out of the mugshot book and arrested him.
Right. And he did time for a long time.
Yeah, before he got out of there.
Right. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
but
she didn't get not one charge.
No,
what you think about that? You think the
crazy.
women that do that and portray these type of things and, blame people?
Oh, they should get a charge.
I mean, yeah. When they do that and it's falsely accused.
Now, like I said, Kobe was never charged.
No, there, Chris, what's up? Yo, I see y'all. Keep tuning.
Kobe was never charged. The reason Kobe was never charged was because when they, examined her with the rape kit,
right,
she had to semen of 3 more men in her drawers. This is a low life this slut. And y'all running around talking about, oh, Kobe was a rapist? Are you kidding me? There's no way in hell Kobe raped this woman.
I can't see how they doing raw anyway without the protection. I mean, that's crazy. The disease that's in the world right now today, it's like you can get something that
you got some
your great grandkids will get.
Yeah, you got some nasty hussy. Had sex with 4 men and didn't even change her drawers. You could have took the drawers off and at least threw them away, girl.
Right. Ew.
She is a nasty witch. Are you kidding me?
Yo, that's crazy.
That's just as crazy as hell. And I'll tell you what, now, and this segues into what we have to remember when we're dealing with white supremacy. Who raises, we usually talk about the men in white supremacy, okay? But let us not forget who raised these men.
Right, moms and grandmas. Yeah.
And they have a history of dirt themselves. You ever heard of the casual killing law?
A casual killing law. Have y'all ever heard of the casual killing law?
The casual killing law. Sure
anybody, talk to me.
The casual killing law was a law enacted during slavery to protect whites from criminal punishment for the death of slaves while correcting them for minor infractions such as spilling the mint julep. Under deeper research, it was discovered that the law was actually created for white women in particular because of the ever-increasing amount of slaves dying under her watch. Upon even deeper investigation, it was revealed that it was small black children that white women were murdering in record numbers.
Wow.
During the course of correcting them, beating them to death. White women were the greatest antagonizers, aggressors, and abusers of black children during slavery and responsible for the majority of their deaths. To the point that a law had to be created to protect white women from punishment for her crimes.
Yeah.
The casual killing law. Now, let me tell you something. As we know, Okay, and this is interesting that I've seen some of these scholars say that, these racist scholars say that Black culture has a culture of rape, which has been supported by some Black women. Some Negropean big ones agree with that yes, Black culture has a culture of rape. Let me tell you something. The greatest rapists have been slave masters, and they produce children with the slave women and underage girls that they impregnated through their rape. Now, what happened was they kept those children as slaves, and their white wives looked at these children with resentment and killed them. This is why you have the casual killing law. Who told you that about your history?
You ain't gonna find it nowhere else. Only on Open Eye Radio. Yo, what's up, Hub? Yeah, Chris, I see you. Good looking out. You know what I mean? Stay tuned. You got something to talk about? Type it in too. I'll be listening. We talk about everything. My city representing Nsoromma, you dig me?
I gotta go back to Kobe because of these conspiracy theories going on too.
Diane. Hey, what's good? We on 95.3 FM radio station. You know what I'm saying? Talk about everything. You been good? Dana?
Yeah. My city on WHGE 95.3 FM.
Right.
Another thing that I gotta mention about Kobe, excuse me, is the conspiracy theories that is going on. We like to clear those type of things up. The helicopter crashed because of the fog. There have been fake videos going around, the internets, claiming that this was the crash that killed Kobe. It was not. Stop pushing these videos. That did not happen. One video claimed the propeller flew off because it was loosened, and that Kobe was in a battle with Big Pharma. Now we know Big Pharma is gangsters, and Big Pharma will take you out.
Right, but I can't see that. I mean, it was an accident. It really was a genuine accident. I mean, that conspiracy theory is sickening. You know what I mean?
And unfortunately, one of the major progenitors, one of the major purveyors of that conspiracy theory is my man, Dr. Umar Johnson. Come on, brother.
Yeah, I peeped that. Yeah, it was like,
because he's in the. Well, let me tell you what the fight was with Big Pharma and Kobe. It was over his nickname.
Right,
Black Mamba.
Yeah, because he want to put it on some apparel like Nike.
Right, and they have something. I guess they have something that they have that's called Mamba or Black Mamba in their, inventory or whatever. So they were trying to block him from using his nickname. That's all the fight was about. It was not about him, exposing something Big Pharma did.
Right.
There's enough out there about Big Pharma. We didn't need Kobe, an athlete, to step up and expose Big Pharma. They've already been exposed as the gangsters and criminals and drug pushers that they are.
I mean, and they call it business, but when you do it, they want to lock you up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really tired of all this entrapment that they be putting on our folks. You know what I'm saying? It's messy.
It damn sure is.
It's messy.
It damn sure is. Also, I gotta mention, last week we talked about the towing company that towed the sister's car from the front of the Queen. Yeah, remember we talked about that?
What car was it?
It was a sister that lives on Market Street, and they towed her car illegally because some arrogant hussy in the Queen.
That's crazy.
Went outside and said, "You can't park there. You can't park there." You know, and she was parked legally, but you know, like I said, you know, well, this towing company is running around towing cars helter skelter illegally.
Oh man!
So they took somebody else's car. I think it was outside the Marriott resident at 1300 block of North Market Street, where the sign said guest registration parking 20 minutes. Well, this towing company decided that these people been there long enough and decided to tow their car. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. And
radio. I hear you.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, they towed their car. Now the city of Wilmington finally is investigating these people, and they need to shut them down. They need to shut them down. Oh, one more little piece of business I gotta take care of. When we talked about the laws that was in New York and California have enacted, there's another state, I think it's Minnesota, is now enacting a law to make it illegal to discriminate against black people.
Dreads, hair. Yeah, I heard that too.
It naturally grows out of their head.
I mean, that's crazy for them to even think of that. You know, they take our style and then wear it and pop it like it's cool. I mean,
you know, we expressed that it was code or something like that.
Sure.
Cities and what do you call it? Cities have codes and ordinances. States and the feds have laws. They just want to.
But codes and ordinances is something that is made up from a company. Codes and ordinance. Law is the law of the land, so you don't necessarily have to follow code and coordinates unless
codes and ordinances are made by them, are enacted by city councils.
Right. So that's not law. But
it's codes and ordinances, and it's recognized as law within the city. As a rule, the state has to approve the law because the code and ordinance could be outside of the state or federal constitution.
But if you living by the law of the land, them codes wouldn't matter, right?
Well, like I said, it depends if they are outside of the state constitution or the U.S. Constitution, and then they're not relevant. You know? You know, James, we're not constitutional lawyers around here, so it's a little complicated.
I know, so we got to get one of them in there. Hey.
Yeah, that's what it is. But
we'll bring it to you.
The open eye.
The mission of Delaware Center for Homeless Vets centers around two main goals: housing.
Yeah, so yo, now that you know we popping like this, I want y'all to tune in and spread it and share it and do all of what you got to do to help us pop it all. 95.3 FM 90.
Nsoromma Martinez Perez. She said that's a shame that was done back then and still continuing. Many black men are in prison for being charged for offenses they never done.
Right,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's so true.
That's word.
Definitely.
Yep. That's word.
Definitely.
Around it.
We are able to fully support their long-term goals of obtaining recovery, economic self-sufficiency, independence, and community.
What Black history name that you can tell us that you know that made a difference in our history? That they don't, that's not the five that's always said. How about that? Type it in. Hit me up.
WHGE 95.3 FM. I want to give a response on the air to Nsoromma Martinez Perez. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Right.
She commented on what we were talking about the casual killing law and about black men being accused of rape, falsely accused of rape, and you know these people getting away with it. And, you know that's been something that's unfortunately a large part of our history. And like Nsoromma said, very, very true heathens.
Right.
Very true heathens. Nsoromma on Facebook Live said that, hey, talk about somebody that you don't usually hear about during Black History Month.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about somebody.
Okay.
One of our greatest scholars, Arturo Alfonso Schomburg. Mr. Schomburg. Arturo Schomburg was born in 1874 in the Spanish colony San Juan, Puerto Rico, to a West Black Indian mother and a German immigration father. He is so important as a scholar, historian, author, and activist when he came to the United States because of his vast collection of Black history and culture that he gathered mainly during the Harlem Renaissance. It was purchased by the Schomburg Library in Harlem, in New York, in 1926. The library was named after him in October of 1972 in honor of his commitment to collecting and documenting Black contributions to the world. Today, the Schomburg Center possesses one of the richest collections of Black history. One of the reasons that Mr. Schomburg was so important was because of the scholars that he produced. One being one of my scholarly heroes, elder, master teacher, Dr. John Henry Clark, who started his study at the Schomburg Institute. Yes, indeed. If it were not for him, we may not have had Dr. Clark, who is, in my humble opinion, one of our most important master teachers, scholars, and elders. Another figure from history that you don't often hear about because we, limit ourselves to the shores of America when we talk about Black history is the African genius Imhotep. Imhotep was a scribe, architect, engineer, carpenter, sculptor, astronomer, government administrator, priest, philosopher. I gotta take a breath when you talk about his accomplishments. Yeah, physician, surgeon. I mean, he was the Renaissance man of the ancient world. Imhotep, who preceded the Greek Hippocrates, who is known as the father of medicine, falsely known by some 2,000 years, was the true father of medicine.
Wow.
In fact, the Greeks worshiped Imhotep as a god. Temples were raised in his honor where physicians were trained throughout the ancient world. Now, Imhotep was a common man whose talent, genius, and contribution to mankind caused him to be worshipped as a god up into the 6th century, some 3,000 years after his death. So revered was Imhotep, whose name means he who comes in peace. The worship of Imhotep was only supplanted by the coming of Christianity. Imhotep, a poet, philosopher. It was Imhotep who coined the phrase, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we shall die. Imhotep was favored by Egyptian royalty, initially recognized by King Djoser, and served 2 of his successors. The African genius Imhotep, one of the greatest men to ever walk the earth.
Wow.
Yeah, Imhotep was the man.
Do y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Imhotep.
Yeah. And a lot of us,
I have a Black historian also.
Okay.
Most people don't know that there's a Black person on money, and the Black person that's on money, he's on a $2 bill, and on the back of the $2 bill, there's a Black man, and the Black man's name is John Hanson. And John Hanson was the first real Black president.
Okay.
He was the president for one day.
Yeah, nah.
What you think about that?
Well, I'm gonna tell you
dig
about
deep
that.
with me, brother.
I'm gonna dig deep with you, brother. On this one. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you about John Hanson.
John Hanson.
Now,
how many John Hansons?
actually, there are a couple.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about the John Hanson that was Jefferson's slave, basically.
No, John
He wasn't
Hanson.
a slave, though.
No, John Hanson was never a slave.
He was never a slave?
No,
okay.
Neither one of them.
Neither one of them.
Neither one of them.
Okay.
Okay. John Hanson Okay, the one that is.
What's up, Karen? I hear you. Keep going, Pat.
The one that it was purported to be president, purported to be the first black president.
Right.
Okay, was actually a white man. Now
don't tell me they black-faced it.
The figure on the back of the $2 bill is really just an incident of over inking. Okay, and that's why that part of it is dark. It's just an incident of over inking that I saw as a printer. I can tell you about that. Yeah. John Henson. Now there was a photo that used to float around that said this black man, John Henson, was the first black president. Okay. Now, first of all, there was a John Henson who was the first president, but he was not president of the United States. He was president of the Continental Congress before there even was a United States, before the Constitution was ratified. John Henson was a white man, a plantation owner from Maryland. That John Henson, this is the John Henson that was president of the Continental Congress before George Washington was president of the United States. Now, the photo that floats around the internet of John Henson is John Henson. Now here's the thing.
Right.
When they claim that, well, we got a photo of the man. Right. Okay. How come there's no photo of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and all these men that were John Henson's contemporary? Because the camera wasn't invented until 1840. Okay. And this was after all those cats had died. Now the photo that is floating around of John Henson is of John Henson of Liberia, who was a senator in Liberia. And so, yes, there was a photo of that John Henson floating around. But there could not have been a photo of the John Henson that was president of the Continental Congress, because there were no cameras at that time.
Okay, but they had artists. I mean, they had talented people that can draw like works better than a camera. You know what I'm saying? So that's how dope it was back in the day. That they didn't need all this stuff, because people could do that with their own physical being, their hands and their talent. You know what I mean? There's still people that's talented that can make that picture stick off the page like it's a real picture. I know artists like that. You know what I'm saying? So
right, but the photo of the John Henson, was actually a photo of the black man who was a senator in Liberia.
See, only on the open eye. You know what I'm saying? WHGE 95.3. Yaga. Keish, what's up? You alright? You alright?
Yeah, buddy, got them tuning in.
Sis Watts, what's up?
Yes.
You guys stroll up.
Yeah.
Miss Perez talking to us.
Yes, you did. Yes, indeed. Big up, Miss Perez. Okay. Yes, true. Okay, Miss Perez, thank you for joining us. She's on the case. That's her. Yep. All right. Let's see. What else we got?
You hear about Puffy's speech that he put. I'm in the music. I went over to the music side now, so you know. Puffy put a speech out when he got up and did whatever. He was talking about how the artists need to take back control of the music game, and all the rich people that's controlling it is really not feeding the artists the way they supposed to be paid properly. You know what I'm saying? And Mace came out of the wind and was like, "Yo, you still owe me for money 24 years ago. So can we start with me?" Yeah. Yo, I cried at that. It's all a bamboozleness about the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything that they touch is got some kind of scam attached to it.
That's word.
Yeah, Keish, what's up?
Yeah, buddy.
There. I see you, Karen. I see you. Okay.
Oh.
this here. Take 5. They moved that quartet on open eye. One of African leaders that I have a lot of respect for is the president of Rwanda,
Right.
who said, I would rather argue that we need to mobilize the right mindsets rather than taking money from outsiders. After all, in Africa, we have everything we need in real terms. Whatever is lacking, we have the means to acquire. And yet we remain mentally married to the ideal that nothing can get moving without external finance. We are even begging for things we already have. That's an absolute failure of mindset.
Right.
That doesn't just apply in Africa, that applies to Black people throughout the world.
Right.
We have all the tools we need to build up our societies, our communities. But yet we keep looking for external forces that educate us, you know.
I mean, it's all about humanity, man. To me, I mean, yeah, we've been through a lot. They've been through a lot. They're going to go through a lot. We're going to go through a lot. But we all have to come together as a human society for it to be a next society. You know what I'm saying? So if we stay on this divided thing, it's going to be nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
And that's for real. So
I feel you.
I can see how our families have decreased from 10 kids to 1. You know what I'm saying? From a family, a real family of 10 to 1 kid, and you being able to only have 1 kid legally in certain places. How can they do that? That's not for a person to say. You know what I'm saying? That's a natural creation from the creator above that no one can control. So I mean,
and when you say about, you know, joining together, here's my thing.
I ain't meaning joining together. I mean coming together, working together, living together. I ain't got to like you to deal with you,
to do business with you, and understand
to deal with you, whatever it may be. But I ain't gonna let you step on my neck either.
No,
you know what I'm saying, right?
You know, and as Dr. Clark teaches us, we have no friends in the world. You want a friend?
You ain't got no friends in your house.
Sometimes,
exactly.
You know? But if you're looking for a friend, look in the mirror. That face in the mirror ain't friendly to you. You ain't got no friends. Okay. Now here's the thing about that.
Right.
I've said this very often. I will not sing Kumbaya with people that, you know, like you said, want to step on my neck.
Right.
You know, I cannot do that. You know, these alliances that we sometimes try to form are always way one-sided and not in our favor. And that's one thing we got to stop. We got to stop making alliances with people who only want to cry brotherhood when it's convenient for them.
Right.
If it's not convenient for us, if it's not
we don't want to deal with
it. If it's not an instrument.
If it's not us first.
Or coming up.
Right. We've been in poverty long enough. That's what I truly said.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You know, and I've seen too many times where brown people, yellow people tan well, and then want to cry brotherhood when they get in trouble. And then when we get in trouble, they don't know us. Oh no, that's done. We can't have that no more.
Right.
That's word. One of the things that we look at is one of the things that we have forgotten in Africa and throughout our communities throughout the world as Black people is the fact that we know how to manage a state, which is why I brought up Paul Kagame of Rwanda, who said that, you know, look, we don't have to go begging for nothing. We know how to manage a state, and we always have. Our history points to that, which is why I bring that up to segue into Egyptian longevity.
Okay.
Why was Egypt was an empire that lasted thousands of years. It's
still going on right now. Really,
it's still a state.
The presence of the Egyptians is still existing
in our minds and hearts,
and in the place.
Right.
I mean, it's not erased. Right.
But, you know, look, Egypt, Kemet, the ancient empire of Kemet, went 3,000 years without a major war.
That's nation management at its best, through science, technology, and moral balance.
Right.
The rulers of ancient Kemet maintained a progressive society for 3,000 years without war.
3,000. And he get in office right now and press the button the second day.
Yeah, you know, that's
Wow.
12 times longer than America has even existed.
Wow.
America is a measly 240 years. Of that 240 years, America has been at war 236 years. Most of its existence. There were no prisons in ancient Kemet. There was no poverty. Thus, there was no crime. Full nutrition for the body and mind was a government requirement. Balance. Even with all its advances, the ancients of Kemet will consider modern man, with all his advances, to be socially barbaric and morally bankrupt. You ever wonder why the Egyptian empire lasted so long? How did some pharaohs rule so long? Ramses sat on the throne for 60 years. 60
right.
years.
60 years, that's a minute.
You know, the great Sphinx is at least 10,000 years old. So by that measure, the Egyptian empire lasted over 10,000 years. How did it thrive so long? Could have been due to extraordinary leadership, no doubt. Could have been to unwavering patriotism of the populace, absolutely necessary. But there was one universal eternal rule the leaders of Egypt understood and applied liberally. The mark of a nation's greatness is how well it treats the least amongst its people. Poverty was unheard of in the ancient empire. When one did fall by the wayside, there was a support system to make sure that that fall was not hard. That's something we need to learn from. That's nation management. That's how a nation, an empire lasts 10,000 years.
But this nation that we live in is built on standing on your neck.
That exactly.
Especially as a black person, you know, it was built on that. So there's no way they're gonna let that go.
Yeah.
We're their first product that was ever sold on Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
you know, and you know, to be fair, okay, which is one of the reasons that I say to those working class and poor whites, you're chicken voting for Colonel Sanders. Okay, the elites hate you as much as they hate us. Okay, understand that. Understand that. Look, you don't think so? How much you owe on your student loan? And did you get out of your student loan? Yes, you as a white person got a great education, but unless you came from a wealthy family, you had to take a loan out. And guess what? You might have been, I know there's reports, I got them right in front of me, that people have been paying on their student loans, black and white and otherwise, for 15 years.
right.
Started out on $170,000 on the student loans. 15 years, you ain't missed a payment. Your income tax return comes back and they take your refund.
Right.
Because that $170,000 that you've been paying on faithfully for 15 years, you now owe $175,000. How in the hell does that work? All right.
Yo, they do and say what they want. My thing is, I kill it all by going, did I sign a contract with you? Because everything is contractual in the corporate and the business world of America. If I signed a contract with you, that's what it is. If not, I got a problem with that. And I'm going to defend myself to the 10th power. To die for it. Yeah. For what I believe in. It's just that simple.
I heard
and a lot of us is not living like that no more. They are, but we're not.
Right.
You know, them white supremacists is living to the end.
Yeah.
And they die for their cause. And we're scared to do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because they're on code. See, this is why, you know,
I hear you.
Yeah, this is why I always say that, you know, I'm Mau Mau, and I explain the Mau Mau philosophy.
Well, explain it again, because I got a lot of viewers that don't know what the Mau Mau means. This is Pat Mau Mau.
I am a Mau Mau, in my heart and mind. Malcolm X, in one of his greatest speeches, okay, he had 300 people in the audience, and he said to them, all that are willing to die for your freedom, stand up. All 300 people stood up cheering.
Yeah. Okay, I got that. I can vision that.
Then he said, how many of you are willing to kill for your freedom? All but 50 people sat down. Of those 300 standing, when he said how many are willing to kill for your freedom, 250 people sat down.
Right.
He turned to the 50 people and said, you willing to kill for your freedom? Start with the 250 people that sat down because they in the way.
Right. Or they're going to portray you in some type of way.
That's right.
They're going to go with the opposite of what you're doing. Because they're not willing to go the distance.
Right.
And the distance is death.
That is the Mau philosophy.
Oh, okay.
Eradicate the obstacle no matter where it comes from. And that's something that we as a people are not enthused.
But we ain't. We're not that kind of people anyway. We're good heart. We have good heart. It hurt us to see somebody hurt.
Oh, yeah.
It hurt us to hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? We might do it in the heat of anger because emotions and all of the other things that go along with, you know, the what you call ups and downs in your life. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, we are genuine good people. Yeah, we are. Which, you know, has gotten us jammed up sometimes. That's why, you know, there were over 200 planned slave revolts. All of them ratted out by black people. Mau. Start next to you. Start right with, if they ain't with you, they against you. They against you. That's what Pac said. That's right. I mean, you gotta learn. Yeah, you gotta learn. You gotta learn. You know, it might sound tough, but I will take you. Listen, Mau. The cause is the cause. That's word. That's word. You know. Thank y'all for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to bounce off this live. But yeah, you know I'm on here every Saturday, 11 to 12 p.m. Me and my homie Pat Gibbs, the host of the Open Eye Radio Show, Nsoromma. Go get my album. You dig me? Nsoromma store, any streaming service. Yaga. Peace. San Fran to the mark. For those who don't understand, don't bet against them. One of the reasons I'm Mau. You know that the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, which changed the status of 3.5 million enslaved Africans in America, in the South, from slave to free, did not emancipate some hundreds who were slaves through the 1960s. Through the 1960s, there were still black people enslaved through the 1960s on these migrant farms, on these plantations, on these sharecropper farms and what have you, who actually thought they had no legal right to leave, that were enslaved through the 1960s. No, did you know that they enslaving black people right now in Libya for $400? They're selling black men for $400. How is America okay with that? Yeah. I mean, that just tells you what we're dealing with. Period. That's all I was saying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, of course, in North Africa, which is, you know, for centuries now, been controlled by the white Arab, who is also a white supremacist. You know, there's been slavery. I can remember when I was in the Air Force, traveling through North Africa and coming back and telling people, hey, look here, man, there's slavery in North Africa. Wow. And people told me, oh, man, you know, you need to stop reading that stuff. I'm not telling you about something I read. I'm telling you about something that I saw. Right. You know? Right. Now, America got rid of Muammar Gaddafi because, you know, he violated people's human rights. Well, after they got rid of him, his country fell into chaos, and now there's slavery in Libya. Wow. What are you doing about that? Oh, we ain't got. You don't want to talk about that. You know, not only is there slavery, but in Libya they have what's called the red market. You know what the red market is? No. The red market is the selling of organs, kidneys, livers, and what have you. Hearts that they cut out of black people that they murder and sell on the black market. That's in the red market. And that's what they call it, the red market.
The red market.
The red market is
the selling of organs.
Selling organs.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Only on the Open Eye Radio Show.
Indeed.
95.3.
Let me hit them up. We know the effects of slavery and 130 years of oppression afterward run deep. We are well aware of the damages done to our psyche, the mental bondage way too many of us still labor under, the self-hatred the slave master taught us. We know all this. We know the cause, the effect, and the cure. The cure is unity, collective purpose, but we won't take the cure. And that's what I don't like about us. We go into our cliques. The Baptists can't work with the Methodists. The Muslim, or the Muslim. The NAACP can't work with CORE. The bourgeois middle class can't work with the stand-up grassroots working class blacks. We've broken off into so many splinters. 3 groups of brothers can't get together and buy a loaf of bread. That's what I don't like about us. When will we learn to honor and support each other? How long will we have silly events where, we try to prove that we have some economic standing when we really don't? Spend our money outside our communities to get the mainstream the false impression that we have economic clout. We have little or no economic clout because we have no collective purpose. Our merchants and retailers won't buy collectively so they can offer competitive prices in our own communities. Why not? Because one's afraid the other will get more out of it than deserve, or sell him out, or can't be trusted, or some asinine reason like that. How much longer can we labor under this self-hatred? When will we stop allowing Webster and others to define who we are? We're so confused, we can't even decide what to call ourselves. Black Americans, Afro-Americans, where's the land Afro? African Americans, Negroid, Asiatic, Afrocentric, Nubian Afro-Americans, or whatever the hell it is this week. The list goes on. Well, we're not Afro or South African or Congolese or Nigerian or Ethiopian or any of those. Being the first people on the earth, we're indigenous to the entire planet. Thus, we are world citizens. Simply stated, we're black. There are too many of us can't learn and love that. And that's what I don't like about us. As I always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs.
And I'm Nsoromma.
Open Eye.
WHGE
95.3
FM. Oh boy. Oh boy, it's a piece of little piece for
Thanks for joining us, especially you, Nsoromma.
Nsoromma, you've been on it.
These, you got it. Buddy. All right, peace.